Hello everyone, welcome back to the Into Sports Podcast. I'm your host Evan, and I know it's the middle of the NFL offseason, but I'm here to do some NFL power rankings post-free agency. So without further ado, let's start at number 10. I have the Tennessee Titans. We have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry coming back. They're free agents. Franchise tag Henry, extend Ryan Tannehill. I think both were pretty good moves. Last year, they were 9-4 with Ryan Tannehill, including the playoffs. They beat up on Baltimore. They almost beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. And they even beat Belichick and Brady in Foxborough. And last year, Ryan Tannehill had the fourth highest passer rating in NFL history, if you can believe that. They need to address the secondary, and they need to address the right tackle position after they lose free agent Jack Conklin to the Cleveland Browns. But Tennessee Titans, I think they're in a decent position to make the playoffs again and potentially make another run. At number 9, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know they added Tom Brady in free agency. I mean, that's the big reason they're on here. Because last year, Jameis Winston, 35 turnovers. I have confidence Brady can cut down the turnovers. He's going to make less great throws, but also less horrible throws with Brady. So more steadiness, play through the defense. Best wide receiver core with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Brady's going to put up a lot of stats in this offense with Bruce Arians. No risk it, no biscuit. Now I worry a little bit. Is Brady going to be able to stand in the pocket, wait for the deeper passing routes to develop? Because last year with New England, if a defender was in 10 yards of Brady, Brady would chuck the ball 50 feet in the air, fall on the ground, and curl up into a ball on the football field. So they're going to potentially take maybe a right tackle at 14 in the draft. They also need to address the secondary, a little bit weak, great front seven, bring back Shaq Barrett on a franchise tag. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9, the new home of Tom Brady. Number 8, we have the Green Bay Packers. Now you're wondering, why are they so low on this list? Last year, they made it to the NFC Championship. They have Aaron Rodgers. We know that he's a bad man, but their turnover differential was a big reason they got to the NFC Championship. Plus 12, third best in the league. Because their yardage was not very good. They were outgained by their opponents on the season. Their stats reflected more of a 9-7 team than the 13-3 team they were. They need to become more of a physical team. Now they lost their key right tackle, a linebacker in free agency, Blake Martinez. So they lost free agents, but then they brought in a right tackle and they brought in a linebacker, Christian Kirksey. So free agency, they also added a receiver, Devin Funchess. They're going to need to take one in the second round. They're going to need to draft a linebacker as well. So I think slight regression for the Packers in the win column, but they're still going to be a very good team with Aaron Rodgers behind center. Number 8, Green Bay Packers. Number 7, the shock of the list, the Denver Broncos. Yes, you heard me right. Why? Now, Drew Lock started the last 5 games of their season, and they won 4 of them. Now we get Drew Lock in year 2. They bring in an offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, who was the head coach of the New York Giants. I like when we have guys with head coaching experience at the coordinator positions. Shurmur's going to be a really good offensive coordinator for Drew Lock year 2, develop him. Lock played pretty well down the stretch. Not great, because they have a great defense. They have Bradley Chubb, a young stud, pass rusher, coming back from an ACL injury. Of course, Von Miller. They go out and trade for defensive tackle Jarrell Casey, who's a Pro Bowl caliber player. And they traded for AJ Boye, one of the better corners in the league, for a 4th round pick. Value in trades. They also bring in Melvin Gordon. And now they have a phenomenal running back core. Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, Melvin Gordon, a young stud receiver, Cortland Sutton, potentially draft one at pick 15. I really like Denver Broncos. This is your breakout team. I said it last year, San Francisco 49ers. I have them as a 10-win team, 9 in my power rankings. Denver, I have them 7 in the power rankings. And they could flip the switch really quick with Drew Lock in year 2. All right, number 6, a bounce back year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year, they were 3rd in defensive yards per play. They only gave up 19 points per game, and they had 54 sacks, which was best in the league. Now, they only won 8 games because they had Mason Rudolph and Devlin, aka Duck Hodges, playing quarterback. And now they have Ben Roethlisberger playing quarterback, back from the elbow injury. Mike Tomlin, still a phenomenal head coach. We saw the work he did last year. He has never had a losing season, even with the quarterbacks I just mentioned. Those two guys played atrociously last year, turning the ball over, unable to make simple throws, unable to make big-time throws, and Ben Roethlisberger can do those both. The defense probably won't be able to create as many turnovers and touchdowns as they did last year. It was just a statistical anomaly. But the offense will be greatly improved with Big Ben at the helm, and the defense will still be rock solid, really great front seven, probably top 2 in the league. You can argue it with San Francisco 49ers. Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, Big Ben, that's the new trio. No more AB, Lev Bell, Big Ben. We got a young superstar receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, a number 1 guy. I know he struggled last year, but that's because he had Mason Rudolph throwing him the ball. It's going to be completely different in Pittsburgh this year. They're going to win with offense, and if their defense played anything like last year, they're going to be a really, really good team and a Super Bowl contender. Number 5, Philadelphia Eagles. Big time free agency for them. They traded for Darius Slay, a stud at corner. Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle, they signed him in free agency away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now their front seven is also phenomenal. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave at the defensive tackle spots. They'll be able to rotate in a lot of guys. They have Derek Barnett, Malik Jackson, Brandon Graham. They have a lot of really, really good guys on the defensive line, much like the Super Bowl run they had a few years ago. Carson Wentz, I think he's one of the top 6 quarterbacks in the league. And last year, he was throwing to guys like Greg Ward off the practice squad. They had way too many injuries last year. Offensive line, wide receiver, running back. They couldn't keep anyone healthy. If that happens again, they won't be as good. But I can't project that amount of injuries. So they're going to be at number 5 because they have Alshon Jeffrey as a number 1 receiver. Deshaun Jackson back from the injury. A really elite deep threat. Still has a ton of speed. Wentz, big arm, throw it down the field. A lot of big plays from those two. Miles Sanders, really good young running back, catch passes out of the backfield. And Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, really great tight end duo. Philadelphia Eagles, I'm all in. Number 4, a lot of people might be mad. They might say this is a little bit too low. But the Baltimore Ravens come in at number 4. Last year, 3rd best scoring defense in the league. Something that was overshadowed by Lamar Jackson in an MVP season and the great offense they had. Speaking of that offense, 200 plus rush yards per game. The downside there is, I think coaches with a full offseason to figure out their unique playing style, I think coaches won't be shocked when they see the Ravens offense. Last year we saw Bill Belichick when he played the Ravens. They just had no idea what to do with the Patriots. I think they're going to be more prepared to attack this unique style that the Ravens have, because after a 14-win season, I think a lot of coaches are going to try to figure out what on earth did the Ravens do? Because first, we got to stop it, and then, potentially, we got to emulate it. I see a little bit of regression on the offensive end, just because what they did last year was just such an anomaly, just so incredible, that I think that's almost impossible to do again. Now, I still don't have their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, despite an MVP season. I still don't have him in my top 10 quarterbacks. I know. I've been watching some NFL Game Pass film, and I think his throwing ability needs to improve. And he has a great run game, but if the coaches can figure out the run game, he's going to have to rely on his arm a little bit more. They're going to need to draft another receiver to go alongside Marquise Brown. But let's be honest, their defense is amazing. You look at this secondary: Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, Earl Thomas, Chuck Clark, and then front seven, where they just got Calais Campbell for free from Jacksonville. They franchise tag Matthew Judon. This is just such an intimidating defense. I think the Ravens, even if they have extreme regression, which I don't think I just think some regression on offense, even if it is extreme, the defense will be able to carry them to wins. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. Now I think it's extremely close between 3 and 4, but I give the 49ers a very, very slight edge. This is a team that made it to the Super Bowl last year, and they had a 10-point lead on the Kansas City Chiefs with under 10 minutes to go. Garoppolo, I think, somewhere in the middle of the pack in terms of the quarterback discussion. Now, I think losing Sanders really hurts, and I think that drafting a receiver in the first round is definitely something I could see the 49ers do, but Garoppolo still has Deebo Samuel, George Kittle to throw to. They use running back by committee. Breida, Mostert, Coleman. That front seven that was so good last year. They do lose DeForest Buckner, but I think the front seven is still really good. We got Bosa, we got Ford, we got Armstead recently extended. The secondary needs a little work. I think receiver and corner are their 2 biggest needs in the draft, and they have 2 first-round picks, so that works out great for them. San Francisco 49ers, so smart with Kyle Shanahan. Easy completions manufactured for Jimmy Garoppolo. He just has to not drop the ball like he did in the Super Bowl. Number 2, New Orleans Saints. Last year, plus 15 turnover differential, second best in the league. Very smart. Drew Brees doesn't turn the ball over. Even when they had Teddy Bridgewater, doesn't turn the ball over. They add Emmanuel Sanders. San Francisco loses Emmanuel Sanders. That's the difference between 2 and 3 for me. I think it's very tight when we talk about the top 4 teams. Also, they add a safety who they had 10 years ago in their Super Bowl season, Malcolm Jenkins. Now they lost Von Bell, their other safety. They lose their run-stopping safety. They gain a pass-stopping safety in a passing league. I like the addition for New Orleans. Also, at the end of the last year, they signed Janoris Jenkins. He's going to be their number 2 corner. I think he's a lot better than Eli Apple. I think the secondary is much improved, which is one of the weaknesses of their team. They need to address linebacker in the draft, pick 24. To me, that's their big hole. And also, the other thing they don't have is a vertical passing game. But with the addition of Sanders, I think on 3rd down and 7, teams aren't going to be able to double Michael Thomas as easily because they're going to have to worry about Emmanuel Sanders, a true craftsman when it comes to his route running. They needed another guy to go to on 3rd down. They added that in Sanders. I think that's a huge addition for them. Drew Brees, probably last season, going to be 41 years old. I still think he's top 2 quarterback in the league. Very close between him and Russell Wilson, but I think those are the top 2 guys. The Saints are at number 2. And now at number 1, you probably know who it is. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. They just won the Super Bowl. And they didn't really make any big moves in free agency. They didn't lose any key guys. They didn't gain any key guys. So it's really the same team that just won the Super Bowl. Last year, number 2 in yards per play. We know how explosive this offense is. The downfield passing game with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, who may or may not be back. Don't know right now. But the creativity of Andy Reid. We know the offense is great. But what really was a difference in the second half of last year, and the reason they won the Super Bowl, was the defense. With Chris Jones and Frank Clark up front, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, on the back end playing safety. The reigning Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and a really improved defense are at your number 1 spot. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Maybe leave a like or a dislike on the video. Comment down below. Tell me what I missed, what team I missed on the top 10, what order I messed up. The social media is on the screen. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Evan, and I'm out. Peace.